Good morning. My name is Reverend Jim Ernston. I am here with Reverend Lisa Herklotz as co-ministers. And welcome to Unity of Charlotte. If you're here in the sanctuary, if you're at home on Zoom or on the road watching us on Zoom, welcome to this Sunday service. So please join me today as we say our mission statement together. So out loud. Unity of Charlotte is the place where we nurture a deep and mature experience of God through the practice of unity principles. Simply put, we are here to love, grow, and serve. Yes, we are. Love, grow, and serve. If you're here for the first time, we'd like to give you a special welcome and just gently raise your hand so that we can acknowledge you. And it looks like everybody's been here at least once before. So welcome back and welcome again, not only on Zoom, but if you're watching this later on YouTube. We're so glad that you're doing that. We invite you as well to check out all of our events. You see along the bottom of that slide, we have our website, we have our newsletter. You can sign up for our newsletter on that website, or you can simply hand us your email address. We also have Facebook, so check out that Facebook page for us, and you can like that as well. At YouTube are the past services. You can listen and watch those past services. Our bulletin board, which is here physically, is out in the hallway, and that has everything, all the details, even things that we don't announce here today. So check that out down the hall, our bulletin board. Let's go ahead and move into prayer at this time. So I invite you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable. To breathe and move from our head down into our heart as we spend this time feeling and knowing the truth of who we are and what we are. We feel that gratitude for each other that are here. Those that are watching this service online, we connect with them as well. We're grateful for this building and the space that we have. We feel that gratitude, especially on cold days like this, when we come inside and feel warm, safe, and loved. In this Advent season, today we focus on that idea and that ideal of peace within our lives. We know it, we feel it, and again, we are grateful. And with that we say, amen. So let's join together in our unity prayer of oneness. With me out loud. There is one presence and one power in my life and universe, God the good, omnipotence. We claim and affirm this presence in our life as love. Also, now is the time where we are able to say out loud a name or a situation. This gives us the chance to hold that person or that situation within this congregation, hold it up in prayer. So I invite you to say those names and situations out loud now. Hannah, Kurt, Darlene, we hold these loved ones, we hold these situations in prayer at this time. And we see the best in all situations. Amen. Know that we have a prayer team as well here at Unity of Charlotte. If you would like a prayer to be held in confidence with that prayer team, there is a prayer box out there. You fill out a form, put it in the slot. That reaches the prayer team, and that whole team holds you in prayer for 2 weeks. And then that gets sent also to Silent Unity in Kansas City at the village. And then that is held in prayer for an additional 30 days. So, or you can find the links to Silent Unity. You can have the on your phone, on your smartphone, you have that as well. And or you can call Silent Unity on the phone. And you can connect with the human and they will pray with you as well. Now I'd like to invite up Paulette, who will be reading our daily word today.
Good morning. Today's daily word is peace. I give the gift of peace. I begin the second week of Advent by affirming peace for myself and all beings and letting the peace of God flow through me. Peaceful living does not mean isolation from noise or turmoil. It means calm even in the middle of the hubbub. At this time of year when so many seem busy and rushed, I rely on the peace of God that resides within to promote calm in my home, in my life, and in the world. Prayer helps me stay centered, serene, and relaxed so I can be an instrument of peace, holding thoughts of tranquility and affirming peace in every heart. I move through this day and Advent season, affirming kindness and compassion. I give the gift of peace as I let it flow from my heart like ripples on a lake, sustaining each person in concentric circles of tranquility and goodwill. The God of peace be with all of you. Romans 15:33. Have a good day.
Ah, beautiful, beautiful. Good morning. This is the second Sunday of Advent, and we're going to light the second candle. But before we do, we'll remember their first candle is for hope and faith. And I also found out a very interesting perspective. I had not known about these candles. In some traditions, the first candle is known as the prophecy candle because it's about the anticipation, hope, and faith that the prophecy of the Messiah is coming. So we light the candle of hope and faith. The second candle is known as the Bethlehem Candle because it signifies or represents the journey Mary and Joseph took to Bethlehem to bring about this birth of this child that was bringing peace to the world. So today we're going to be talking about peace and Bethlehem, and we light the second candle for peace. We're going to talk about the journey to Bethlehem as the journey to peace from a metaphysical interpretation perspective. Now, if some of you at metaphysical interpretations knew, let me explain a little bit about what that means, because this is very core to unity teachings. Because we believe the Bible is Holy Scripture, we believe there's a lot of Holy Scriptures out there, scriptures that represent universal spiritual truths. But we believe in reading the Bible from a metaphysical understanding. And what that means is when we explore a metaphysical meaning, we're looking beyond the literal or the historic story or event, and we're uncovering its deeper symbolic and spiritual significance. We're looking for the universal truths, the principles and the archetypes that are expressed through this story and this event. And the importance of that is because it now makes this story, this event, very personally relevant to our own spiritual journey. And that's what a metaphysical interpretation is. And it gives us a way of having a very personal experience of the timeless wisdom of these stories and these scriptures. So the journey to Bethlehem, it's not just a historical event we're looking at, but it is actually recounting how we each in our own way journey through our spiritual path to the awakening of the Christ light within us, to the birth of that remembering our divine nature, that God-given essence that is our foundation. In essence, The journey to Bethlehem is really a profound reminder that the path to this spiritual awakening, the path to this remembering, it requires both an external effort, but it also requires internal alignment with spiritual principles. And that's what the journey to Bethlehem is about, as we're going to discover. Now, there's 3 elements that I'm going to be looking at very specifically in giving you some of the metaphysical meaning behind those. Understand that through this story, there are many, many elements we could look at, but we would be here for a very long time, and I know that's not going to work. So this morning, we're going to look at Mary and Joseph and the town of Bethlehem as the elements of the story that are the focus for this journey to peace. So let's begin with Mary and Joseph. Mary represents or symbolizes the divine feminine, purity, the receptivity and the intuitive, creative aspect of consciousness. So when we're talking about Mary and Joseph from a metaphysical perspective, we're talking about attributes of our own consciousness. So we talk about them as masculine and feminine energies and representations, but understand it has nothing to do with gender. It has to do with energies that live within each one of us. They all are present, and we call them forth in balance and equalness. Mary represents the soul's willingness to birth this spiritual truth out into the world. So what does that mean to me personally? It means it's my willingness to take this journey into my own soul and allow for the birth of this light, but then to also live it in the world. It is not just for me, but it is to be expressed. Joseph embodies the rational mind, and this is the protective, grounded aspect of our consciousness, which ensures that that divine inspiration that Mary represents has support and stability, right? We are still in this world. We're functioning in this world. We have a rational mind. That rational mind, when it is in alignment with this journey, this spiritual unfoldment, becomes our protection and our support. So you see how Mary and Joseph are both needed to bring about this birth. From The Revealing Word is a book that was put together by Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity Movement, that takes all the events and persons and places and gives a metaphysical meaning to them. So when I looked at The Revealing Word, one of the things it mentioned is that Joseph and Mary, as the parents of Jesus, represent wisdom and love. Wisdom and love working together that have been ideas in the consciousness, but are now bringing forth or manifesting in form in our lives. So it's no longer just ideas, but we're actually becoming the expression of that peace and that love. In Luke 2, 4 through 5, we hear this from the Christian scriptures. So Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to Bethlehem, the town of David, because he belonged to the house and line of David. He went there to register with Mary, who was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child. So there's a couple of elements in this I want to talk about. First of all, they're making this journey because, from a historical perspective, King Herod has decided he needs to take a census so that he can be sure that everyone is being taxed and everyone's paying their alms to Rome. So they have to go back to the town of their birth, and that's for them Bethlehem. So they're on the road to Bethlehem. The other thing is that he was pledged to be married to Mary, but they were not married yet. And she was expecting a child. From a metaphysical perspective, we have Mary, or our soul, the soul, who is heavily charged with divine life. Now imagine Mary ready to give birth. So I don't know how many mothers we have in here, but you may remember that moment when you're like ready and you are feeling heavy with that life. So this is our soul ready to birth this new awareness of the Christ consciousness. And we have Joseph, who, our rational mind, that is providing a grounding and rational aspect to help carry through, because there's not an understanding yet. And this was the thing. It says there's no union has yet taken place between it and understanding. So between what's actually happening and the rational understanding hasn't happened yet. This is when Joseph and Mary come together. This is when there is a marriage of love and wisdom, when there's a marriage of this spiritual awakening and our rational understanding of it. Because when those two come together, that's when it manifests in our life. So together, their journey signifies the alignment of our intuitive and our rational faculties, our abilities to have wisdom and intuition, and our ability to be an intellectual thinking consciousness. They come together and work together, and it's only through this that we actually, when they're in service to spiritual awakening, as opposed to a lot of worldly endeavors, because peace, the peace that we're on the journey to, it's not a peace that we find out here. It's not a peace that we find out in the world. That's usually where we first look. When we want to be at peace, what's the first thing we tend to do? I know for myself, it's to go, okay, well, I need to change this because this is not bringing me peace. Now, that could be so, right? Or I need to change that, or they need to change. Or I need to move. I need a new job. I need a new, it's always an outward focus of something to change, because then I'll be at peace. That's a very human thing. Everybody experiences it. That's what our human consciousness does. It looks outside. But we have a spiritual consciousness that's always present and whispering to us, no, turn within. Make this journey back to your homeland, your hometown. Let your soul come back in and hear a different message. So the peace we're looking for is this peace that comes from within, that comes from bringing together all our faculties and elements, and which allows for a spiritual awakening, which is what we call the birth of Christ within us, which we celebrate as Christmas, as the birth of Jesus, who showed us that this is what we're meant to do, and showed us the way by being that model. So let's turn to Bethlehem. Metaphysically, literally, Bethlehem translates from Hebrew to house of bread. The house of bread. Isn't that interesting? Bread at this time in history was foundational for substance as food. The bread of life, that's where the bread of life comes from. Bread is how people sustain themselves in life. So Bethlehem becomes this place to go where they are going to be sustained. They're going to get the sustenance they need to complete this birthing process. Metaphysically, we see Bethlehem then as a place where the invisible spiritual substance, God, remember, is infinite substance. We sometimes called it the infinite field of possibility, where that spiritual substance comes into manifestation in a physical form. This is what Bethlehem represents, a place that can sustain that process. Now, in Bethlehem, as you may know, they come to the inn, and what happens? No room. No room at the inn. That's why we have a room at this inn. That's where they got that name for that particular project. But they have no room at the inn, and they're told that they can go house themselves in the stables, because clearly Mary at this point needs to have a place to be, to get out of the cold weather. And from a metaphysical perspective, There's a couple of things to note here. One is coming to the end, it's very crowded, right? It's a Jewish holiday season. And so there's a lot of activity, a lot of people, a lot of distraction, a lot of worldly going onness. But what Mary and Joseph need in order for this birth to take place is a sanctuary. So the stable becomes a sanctuary away from worldly distractions, away from the noise and the goings on. Now, there's a lot more to that, but that will be another lesson. For now, they're in the stable where it's quiet. It's also a place of simplicity and humbleness. Simplicity and humbleness is when we are open. We're not standing in a place of, well, I know it's like this, and I know it's like that, and I'm right, and we take a stand on things, but it's a place where we let all that go and we just get very simple. And it's in that place, that spirit that's just been waiting to come forth has the opening to do that. So here they are in the stable. So that represents to us our inner sanctuary. Remember, this is all an internal, we're looking at this metaphysically, this is all an internal experience of our capacities for rational thinking and the intellect, and our capacity for love and wisdom to work together towards this spiritual awakening that we call the Christ. And this is the road to truly find peace. So now we're going to talk about that journey to peace. These are the three elements that we've looked at. The journey, you can imagine their journey to Bethlehem on a donkey, fully pregnant, was probably challenging, to say the least. It was probably not an incredibly comfortable and fun journey, but it was one they had to take. So what about our own spiritual journey? When we begin to shift and change and move inside, and we're journeying back to a home that we haven't been to in a long time, that's away from the world and worldly thoughts and ideas, we're going to have our challenges come up, right? There's going to be challenges and obstacles and things that say, don't go, don't go. Just stay here where you're comfortable. Just stay here with what you know. But you can't. You can't, because this is a journey we all must take. At some point in our life, we take this journey, and perhaps we take it more than once. Sometimes we take it, we experience that birth, and then we get lost back in our worldly mind again. That's okay, we just take the journey again. It requires a lot of faith and trust and perseverance in our own inner struggles, because they're going to surface when we're awakening. But if we know that we are bringing our intellectual and wisdom and love powers together in alignment for this spiritual birth, that faith it's where we're headed will keep us moving forward. Sometimes we're forced in our lives to take this journey when life thrust changes upon us. Does life ever thrust a change upon you? Ever? Yeah. Some changes we ask for. We're ready to move, right? I'm ready to do something new. And then there's times when life just says, you're ready to do something new. And I'm going, what? No. So it doesn't matter how it comes, it's all an opportunity. It's always an opportunity to move back to that inner sanctuary where we allow our consciousness to rise, to expand, and to remember who and what we are. We could almost say that, and in the way that we celebrate the birth of Jesus at Christmas, is to say that this was the way peace has been opened for us. It's like he opened this door. His presence in the world opened this door for a whole new way to understand and experience peace. Now let's look at the kind of peace that we're really talking about when we say that this is what he brought into the world. And I say that in a way that's our tradition. It's not that peace has never been here. Peace has always been here. God has always been here. Spirit has always been here. Jesus brought it to a particular place and time and people so that we could hear the message. So from the scriptures again in Luke 2:13 through 14, suddenly a great company of the heavenly host appeared with the angel, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace, goodwill to men." This is from the scene where the angels have come to the shepherds, which we're probably going to get maybe next week or the week after, to proclaim that the birth of Christ has happened. The birth of Jesus is there, and telling everyone to go and see the wonder that has just appeared on the earth. But what is this sign bringing but peace and goodwill? It's bringing peace. Now I go to something that is in the scriptures that Jesus is quoted as having said in John 14, before he left the world again. And he said, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives." So the peace that got heralded by the angels on the day of his birth is the peace that he said, "I'm leaving with you." It doesn't go when I go, because it lives in you. It lives in me. And it is not a peace the world can give, but it is a peace we can give to the world. When he healed people, he often responded, "Go in peace." That was very commonly what he said. Not, "Oh, wow, you're healed. Isn't that good? Now everything's great." No, go in peace. In other words, carry this experience that you've just had with you because it's in you. It's not me. I've shown it to you, but it is awakened in you. Now take that message, take that experience, stay in alignment with the spiritual truth that you have now experienced, and go in a whole new sense of peace in this world. I think that it would be safe to say we all want peace. We all want peace in one form or another. And as I mentioned before, we often try to seek it from the world, which is what he says, as the world gives it. And I have to admit, there's times when I've been able to shift my life around and go, that's better. But how long does that last? Because this world is a constant world of change. So the peace we're looking for, it lives within us. It's not as the world gives us, because that's always looking for some change in the circumstance, in our health, in our safety, in our comfort, in our relationships. We seek a sense of peace from those. And forget that it's peace that we need to bring to those in order to know a true peace. So what's needed? What is needed? Hypatia Hasbrook is a very foundational unity minister and teacher back when Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founders of Unity, were around. And she wrote this: that child, speaking of the Christ child, that child is within us. And in our depths, we know that at some time we're destined to take the mystical journey to our inner Bethlehem, the birthplace of our own higher self. Higher self is often another term we use for our own Christ consciousness, our awareness of our divine nature. So we know in our depths, at some point we will be making this journey. And so today we're just celebrating that. We're celebrating the trip to Bethlehem as our own personal journey to peace again. What does it take? A willingness and a desire, and faith. I love the idea that the faith candle, the first day of Sunday of Advent, is also known as the prophecy candle, because a prophecy is a promise of what is to come. It's a promise. So peace is a promise. And it is inevitable that we will uncover that promise through our own faith that this is so, and then taking that journey back to our home. If we have a willingness to experience deep and abiding peace, then we have to let it come to us in a brand new way. And I think it means we're going to probably need to let go of, well, I wish this would change, and I want that to be different, and I wish that would go away, or I wish this would come to me. All of our wishes that things would change in our outer circumstances. And I look out today, and there's a lot of things out there that I'm going, really? It can bring me a lot of fear. But looking out there and being fearful is only going to feed more fear into our environment. And when I remember, in fact, we're all one in spirit. So I don't want to feed any more fear out there. So I want to take this journey to Bethlehem, this journey within, to this inner sanctuary, and ground myself in this deep inner sense of peace, knowing that I am a child of God, and that God's divine order is working in and through this world despite anything that I see. And as we all come together and start feeding that into the single collective consciousness, we can make changes. Which doesn't mean we're not going to step out. Remember, they had to get on that donkey and take that ride, right? They had to take action. There are actions you may be called to, but be guided to those actions from this place of peace, not anger or fear. And when you find that place of peace, you will know, because your wisdom will guide you to what you're meant to do. And we're all called to do something here. Because that's my final message, is once we find this peace, it is ours to bring to the world. It's ours to bring to the world. We could sit quietly and just go, I feel so peaceful now. That's wonderful. And that's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. Enjoy those moments. They're beautiful, beautiful, holy moments. But they will grow if we start bringing those holy moments out in all our relationships, in all our connections, into our job environment, into our home environment. Wherever we go, we get to bring peace with us instead of seeking it out there. So I have an affirmation I'd like to share with you before we go into our meditation. If this affirmation, the words work for you and resonate for you, then I invite you to use it. But if you have other words that are stronger for you, use those. Whatever helps you feel right here, right now, a deep sense of inner peace in knowing your spiritual nature. Mine is the peace of God flows through me. I give this gift of peace to the world. I would invite you to say that with me. The peace of God flows through me. I give this gift of peace to the world. And so it is. I invite you to take your hands and gently rest them on your lap. Gently close your eyes now in this vibration of light and peace as we are all heavy. Our souls are heavy with spiritual awakening. Feel that sense of something brand new, and yet something you have known forever and just forgot, coming back into your awareness. If it helps, gently follow your breath, feeling the air moving in and the air moving out. Let that bring gentle relaxation to your whole physical being. And let your mind rest in the holy light of that humble, quiet stable within, that inner sanctuary. And feel this sense of vibrancy, of life coming forth. And yet with the energy of that life is a profound sense of peace. A peace that has nothing to do with what's happening in the world. A peace that comes from a wholly greater place. A peace that has always been there, will always be here, and simply awaits your invitation. The peace of God flows through me. The peace of God flows through me. I give this gift of peace to the world. I give this gift of peace to the world. Know that you can linger in this holy place. Forever. Even as you begin to come out of the meditation, even as your focus and attention begins to rise and become aware of your body in the seat, feeling the air on your face, that light, that vibrancy, and that profound sense of peace remains. As we claim to be the peace we want to see in the world. I am the peace I want to see in the world. Take a gentle breath in. Gentle exhale out, and when you're ready, gently open your eyes. And I'm recalling a practice that I used to do for a long time because I was raised Presbyterian. We'd always say, peace be to you. Peace be with you. Peace be with you. Namaste.
Now we move into that time, that offering part of our service. We know that as we give, so do we receive. And it's through your generous giving that Unity of Charlotte continues to be a light into this community. So there are many different ways in which to give. There's the donate button on our website, text to give on your phone, set up your own bill pay through your bank. You can use those QR codes that you see up there as well. That's also going to be on the last slide as we leave the room. You'll see those QR codes all over the place. You can use those to give as well, and we will definitely accept cash. Please join me in this prosperity blessing. So I invite you to hold your gift in your hand, or the image of that if you've given online as well, as we say together our prosperity blessing. Joyously I give this gift, knowing the divine presence blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. We are light, love, power, and presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Stand if you are able as we sing together our peace song.